In this exercise, your objective will be to build a web page just like the one displayed on the screen right now. You will be provided with a number of files to build this, and you will use CSS to style the text inside of the 3 columns. Just to show you how it's built, we have a rollover for each of the buttons in the navigation, including contact and reservations. You'll create that from a provided Photoshop file. And we also have an image that acts as a link and a bit of text that acts as a link as well. So let me just show you the files that are provided. You will get 5 files. One of them will be used as a template in Dreamweaver so that you can get your layout as close as possible to the designer's vision, which was output as a GIF file from Photoshop. The other file is actually a PSD with 2 layers for the rollover buttons, one with the default state and one with the rollover state. And you will be required to create a slice for each one of those buttons in the navigation bar, as well as generate a rollover image to go along with it, and ultimately generate the HTML file as well as the images. You'll also be provided with a text file which has all the text for you to copy and paste when you're in Dreamweaver when you're creating that content area. And of course the image here, and this 1 pixel image is going to be used for creating those vertical lines, just to show you that you can take a 1 pixel image and stretch it to any dimension that you would like. Now let me go over to Photoshop quickly. Here's the file that you will be provided with, cottagehaven_nav. In fact, this is a finished one that I've created. What you will do is you will create a slice for each one of the navigation buttons here. If I was to zoom in, you would see. And generate it under the Save for Web command as HTML and images. Your settings should say put images in folder called images and all slices, and then just designate a folder as your root folder, which you will have created already, or you can create it at that point. So that's the Photoshop file for the navigation. Once you have that created with the rollovers, we'll go over to Dreamweaver, and once here you should set up your site using the file manager in the panel. Now I've already set mine up, but just remember, go up to Site, New Site, give it a name. I'll call it Tables Layout. Exercise, and just drill down and attribute the appropriate folder that you've designated as the root folder for this site, and click Choose. I'm not going to actually do it here because I've already created it, as you can see over here. I will open up that HTML file, which is the one that should have been generated from Photoshop. Now I've got a few here. You'll only have one because I've got a finished one and one that's undone. But you'll get an images folder and your HTML file. Now as you can see here, all the slices were done. So your next step, I would think, is to give each slice an ID, which you can see I've already done here. Photos_A, so that's my convention, _A for the default button. And the rollover button will be created using the behaviors. And you can see that I've already got it done, but I highlighted each button and attributed a swap image behavior to it, and just went into my images folder and found the B version of each button. Once that's done, I'm just going to reduce the view here a bit. You'll want to create a brand new table directly below this table. So maybe the best way to do that is to either click on the right side or highlight that table by dragging it across, hitting your right arrow key. And the idea here is to put your insert point on the right hand side and just hit return. And at that point, we're going to insert a table. So I'll go up to my Common tab under Table. Now if you don't see this up here, you should probably set your workspace layout to Classic. Okay, so again, let me just insert a table over here. Now, let me go back to the web page for a second and show you what that looks like. It looks like 3 columns, but in fact, the table contains 5 columns because you should include these divider lines, which are created by stretching a graphic, that 1 pixel graphic. So in fact, we're going to create a table with 5 columns and 1 row. So now that I'm over here, I hit Insert Table, 1 row, 5 columns, and this number is kind of arbitrary. I could say 200, I guess. What I will do is I'll just generate it with this absolute width, and then I'm actually going to go in and simply grab the handles and stretch it to the size that I want. I'm going to say border thickness of 0 pixels, hit my tab key, and I'll leave the rest the same, and I'll click OK. As I said, I'm just going to go in and drag this and just make it the same width as the table directly above. Now you can see the dividers here, and we're going to insert content into each of these. But before I do that, I'll save my file, and I'm going to call in an image to use as a template that was created in Photoshop. I've got a GIF image expressly made for this purpose. So let's go up to Modify, Page Properties, and under Tracing Image, we'll browse for the image. And this is one of the downloaded images you would have received. And if you haven't done so already, it's actually called cottage_home. You should put it in your images folder before attaching it to the page. Now I believe I already have one in here that I copied, so let me just go in here and check. There it is right there, cottage_home.gif. So I click Open, and I'm just going to set the opacity to about 50%. There we go. And I click OK. And see what happened? It came in as a translucent image in the background so that I can use that to basically use as a visual template to move my tables and table cells around manually, or even by using the numbers inside. So I'm just going to reduce my view here again. And what I would do is I would just sort of start to drag these table cell borders around to roughly accommodate my content here. Okay, so I intend to put the 1 pixel line in each of these columns. I'll put in the image and then copy some text into the first column, and then copy and paste text in the second and what looks like the third column. Now we also need to insert a couple of images, in fact, the image of the cottage and then the little 1 pixel graphic that we'll use to create these stripes. So you should have put them in your images folder. If you haven't, do so now before you put them on the web page. Now I've got them in my images folder already. There's the 1 pixel GIF. And that other one is called shore.gif. This picture here is called shore. Okay, so make sure that those 2 graphics, those 2 files are inside of the images folder inside of your root directory. Now I want to do a little formatting on all these table cells, so I can actually click inside and drag across and highlight all the cells I want to select, which is all of them in fact, and set my defaults for horizontal and vertical. I'll set them to left and top. So that means the content will stick to the top and to the left, basically. Now I'll click inside of this first table cell. I'll go up to Image, Insert, go to my Images folder, and look for that image called Shore. Highlight it, click Open. I'll give it an alt name called Shore. Click OK. And we're going to need to do a bit of formatting, but we can start just with the image there for now. And I'll also put those 1 pixel images in, then we can go and retrieve the text from the text file. So I'll click inside of this second column. In fact, these ones I'm going to change the horizontal to center, now that I think about it. So clicking inside of there, I'll go back to Insert Image. Look for the 1 pixel image, 1pixel.gif, open. I'll call it 1 pixel. Click OK. And then highlight that. And change the width to 2 pixels. You saw it was a little tricky actually grabbing it there. If I zoomed in, it would have been a lot easier. But let me just set the width to 2 and the height to 350. Hit my tab key. And I'm going to go back in here and change that to center. I can now just copy it by highlighting it. Copy. And I'll go over to this column. I'll actually change that one back to center as well. And I'll paste. And now we have our 2 vertical lines. I'll just hit save and continue from here. So the next step is just to bring in my text, and then after that we'll do some styling to finesse the layout a bit. So I'll go over to my Word document, and I'll just grab them a chunk at a time. View from the shore. Actually, I can grab everything for that. Copy. Back to Dreamweaver. And if I highlight the image and click on the right arrow, I can just hit my return key and paste. And what that does is it actually puts it in a paragraph. Now if I want to change the tags around the text, say from paragraph to H1 or something, I can just simply do that after I paste it. But for now I'm just going to put the text in each designated column. So the next one is the stuff for the middle. I'll just grab all of that and copy it. Go inside the middle column, paste that, and then finally the one for the last column, which is the rest here from what people had to say. Copy that over the Dreamweaver, paste that in. Okay, now we can get down to some styling. So we will create a new external cascading style sheet and various styles to accommodate each column. Now at this point I think I'm just going to go in and change it to split view so I can see a bit of my code. And looking at this left column, I've changed my mind. I think I do want to center it. So I'm just going to click inside of there and go up to horizontal center. Okay, so at this point I'm ready to create a new cascading style sheet, but to begin with I think I'm going to refer to my spec sheet to see what some of those styles have as properties. I've got that open. I'm looking here and I see that I have 2 tag styles, one for the H1 and one for the H2 tags, as well as 4 class styles, one for the text under the photo, so it'll be named accordingly, one for the left column, one for the middle column, and one for the right column. So I'll just refer back to this as necessary. I can see that the H1 and H2 tags are similar. One is 18, the H1 and the H2 is 14 pixels. So let me go and start with that. So under CSS Styles, I'll just create a new style to initiate it. And I'll go up to tag, and I'll just type in H1. And down below, I will create a new style. So when I hit OK, it's going to ask me to name and locate that new style sheet. And I'm in my root directory here. Now I have one that I previously created, so I'll call this one Style Sheet 2.css. Okay, and again, save it in the root folder. Click Save. Then it wants you to initiate the first style. So this one was Verdana. Font family. 18 pixels and black. And I hit OK. And I don't have anything styled yet as H1, but maybe I can get started. I'll just highlight the title, The Cottage, and format that to an H1 tag, and it has adopted this tag style. Now I'm actually going to set this line to the H2 setting, the heading 2, and then I'll create a heading 2 style to style all H2 tags. So let me go into my style sheet panel here, and I'll choose tag. And it's cool because I'd actually attributed that tag, and my selector, my insert point was on it or within those tags. It actually automatically put that in as my selector name. Just a small benefit here. I do want to save that into that same style sheet 2, and then click OK, and I'll just give it a font of Verdana. The size on this, I believe, was 14, and the color was black. I click OK, and it adopted that style. Let me just do a save all, because now that I'm running a style sheet, I do need to do save all to save both the style sheet as well as the file I'm working on. So save all. And I'm just going to confirm that H2 style over on my spec sheet. And in fact, it was 14. Alright, so now I'll start to create some class styles and then apply them to the various sections of the page. Basically, I believe I'm going to apply them to the table cells. But I'll start with photo text, which will apply to the text below the photo. So let's start by naming it, and I'll see if I can remember all this. So I'll create a new style, class style, photo underscore text. Save it in that same style sheet, click OK. And this was Verdana, and I believe it was 10 point, and it was styled italic, and it was colored black. I'll click OK. So now I'll actually highlight that text, and I'll highlight the paragraph. So I'll click on the tag in the tag selector, and under class in my properties, I'll choose photo text. There we go. Now I'll create the other style for the left column. So let me go back to my reference. Column left, Verdana 10 pixel black. Okay, so we'll create a new style. Column left, underscore left. Same style sheet. Click OK. And I believe it was Verdana 10 pixels black. Click OK. Now I'm going to attribute this one to the table cell. So I'm going to click inside of that table cell and just go down to my selector here and choose the table cell tag, TD, table data. And I can attribute the class to that. So column left. Now we'll affect the middle table cell. So let me go back to my reference. Column middle, Verdana 14 pixels black. So I'll create a new style. Column middle. Same style sheet. Click OK. And that was Verdana. I believe it was 12 pixels, no, 14 pixels black. I'll click OK. Then I'll click inside of this middle table cell, highlight the tag for the table cell, and then change the class to column middle. I'm going to do a save all right now to save my style sheet as well as my file. Okay, so we have just the last column to go here. Let me go back to my reference. Column right, Verdana 10 pixels black. Back to Dreamweaver. Create the style. Class style. Column underscore right. Same style sheet. Click OK. Set that to Verdana 10 pixels and color is black, and we click OK. Then I will attach that style to the table cell by clicking inside, selecting the tag for the table cell, and highlighting the class pull down menu in properties and choosing the style called column right. There we go. Let me just do a save all here. And just one last detail is I want to create a web link out of the photograph, and just a little review on how to create a web link out of text. So we'll highlight the photograph, and under link I'm just going to put a link to adobe.com. So http://www.adobe.com. Hit my tab key to enter that. And for the text, you simply highlight the word. I double clicked on it, and in the link box, same idea, http://www. I'll just say Adobe again, adobe.com. Now, if I had another file in my site, in theory, you'll only have the one file. I could have clicked on my browse for file and selected that file, rather than creating this absolute link to Adobe. Regardless, that's where you enter the link information. I hit my tab key to enter that. Save all, and just have a look in the browser. Preview in Firefox. And there we go. So all of your rollovers need to work. This needs to be a link. This needs to be a link, and the style needs to be set accordingly. And that is your assignment for today, to create this one web page.